Greetings, everyone. I'm your host, Chris Garris, and welcome back to the Transporter Room. We are absolutely thrilled to introduce a true Hollywood heavyweight, a multi-award winning artist, and one of the definitive creative forces behind modern science fiction, the one and only Doug Drexler. Doug's career is nothing short of legendary. He's an Academy Award winner for makeup on Dick Tracy, a multiple Emmy winner for his visual effects work on Battlestar Galactica, and a creative pillar of the Star Trek universe for nearly 2 decades. He is the man who designed the NX-01, one of my favorite ships, and now he is working to bring his incredible life story to the screen with his documentary, Trek Star, currently funding on Kickstarter. We're ready to dive into his unparalleled journey from prosthetics to starship design and get the exclusive details on his new film. Now let's beam in Doug. Hello, Doug.
Wow. Thanks for that unbelievable. I didn't even know you were talking about me. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? I can't wait. And then you said my name and I realized it was about me.
Yes, it's about you.
Happy to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. This was kind of a dream come true to get to talk to the man who is.
Jason.
Oh, and there's Jason.
Hey guys. How's it going? I'm Jason.
Hello.
I'm
Actually,
the director.
Jason, introduce yourself real quick.
Oh, I'm Jason Smith. I'm the director of Trek Star. I've been working with Doug to tell the story of his life. This is Doug Drexler, who you've already met. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having us on.
Well, you're welcome. Thank y'all for giving me your time today. Doug, like a lot of podcasts, like I said, they like to go straight into the Star Trek. But I prefer, and I know our listeners do, we really appreciate learning about the journey that brought you into the film industry before we beam up to discuss Star Trek. So
It was impossible. It couldn't have happened. I'm believing it myself.
So just give us. I mean, I've heard some stories. I recently was talking to Larry Nemechek, and he was giving us some background a little bit. But now I need to hear it from you.
Well, it's all a lie, every bit of it. None of it's true. It's all been fabricated. Fabricated, I say. No, I was a first generation Star Trek fan. I watched the original series first run.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, I watched the first season in black and white.
Whoa!
Yeah, black and white. My first color episode was Amok Time,
Really?
which was one of the most colorful episodes, probably, with that big red cloak and sky, right? The cyclorama that they had.
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't a lot of science fiction on television or even the movies back then. It was not considered cool.
That's what I've heard.
It was, if you like that type of stuff like comic books, you were a brain damage, a
God.
brain damage case. But I was a really well-read kid, even at that age, which I guess I was 12, I guess, when Star Trek first premiered.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd read everybody, Harlan Ellison and Ray Bradbury and Edgar Rice Burroughs and H.G. Wells, and I was, and I didn't fit in at school. I couldn't hit a baseball. I couldn't catch a football. I didn't know how to fix a car. So
Me either.
I was considered, the man from Mars.
Mm-hmm.
I always had a science fiction book with me. And that caused me a lot of trouble, really, actually.
Mm-hmm.
People would mock you for that. And now it's pretty cool, but it wasn't then.
Oh,
And,
God, yes.
Yeah. The thing about back then, there were only three. Here, let me get my hand in. There were three networks. It's not like today where there's 6 zillion places that are making TV shows and streaming, and you can't even keep up with them all.
Mm-hmm.
And they also don't want to spend too much money because the pie has been sliced so thin now because of streaming that the chances of losing money are, so much greater. But in the 60s, there were only 3 networks, and they were rolling in dough. They had lots of money. I mean, television and Detroit were huge, So every year in the fall, they would have all the new cars would come out of Detroit, the hot new cars, which I didn't care about that much, but although I did like design even then. But the networks would pull out the stops as far as all their new shows, and they would have a week in September. It was premiere week, sneak peek week.
Okay.
And they really knew how to get you pumped up. And especially if, say, you're a kid around 12 years old, there's no cell phones, there's no VHS tapes, there's no streaming. All there is a regular telephone with a cord on it, you know. And
I remember that.
It was like hugely exciting when new TV shows were premiering. There was one in particular that showed up in print ads for Star Trek. And just from the print ads alone, NBC did this amazing mural of all their new shows, and like sandwiched between Dean Martin and Bob Hope and Bonanza and shows like that, there was this art that showed Spock and Kirk and the Enterprise behind them. And that ship was unlike anything that anyone had ever seen before. It was, yes, there was a saucer, but it wasn't your typical flying saucer. And yeah, there were cigar shapes, but they weren't silver rocket ships that landed on their tails. Although, you know, it got to the point where the idea of a rocket ship landing on its tail was considered to be a science fiction trope, that we knew that they would never do that. And now we have rockets that land on their tails, which is absolutely crazy. But anyway, I was a well-read kid. The only stuff on television, of course, the Twilight Zone was fantastic. There was The Old Outer Limits, which was great. There was Lost in Space and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. And although I'm nostalgic about both those shows. I mean, I watched really for Dr. Smith and Will and the Robot. and really, Voyage and Lost in Space were pretty, kid stuff. Really made for kids. Irwin Allen made it for kids. But Star Trek had the ring of serious science fiction about it. And at that point in time, I was not allowed to watch TV during the week. I could only watch television on the weekends. And my friends got to see the first few episodes and would come in and tell me about it. My geeky friends, before there was such a word as geek. And a geek was a freak in a circus sideshow that ate chickens, bit the heads off the chickens. I don't know how it ever got to be a phrase for someone who loves science fiction. But my mother one night decided she was going to take a shower, and she got in the shower, and I used that as the opportunity at about 7:45 on a Thursday night. Star Trek was at 7:30s, I think, on Thursdays. And I snuck downstairs on the TV. Back when you had to let the TV warm up, I mean, if you peeled the back off the TV, it was always glass, bubbles with plasma on the inside. It was awesome. It was like alien technology. But you let the TV warm up, and you literally could feel the picture tube when it finally engaged. There was a static electricity you could feel on your skin, and there was that shift.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. I mean, well, my father was a TV repair man.
Okay.
When he came back from World War II on the GI Bill, he figured, well, TV's probably going to be big. And if I learn how to fix them, that's a good thing. And this TV I'm telling you about, he made it. He built it.
What?
Yeah, can you imagine that? He built the TV.
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I saw about 10 minutes of the show, and it was blowing my mind already because it was so serious. It took itself very seriously, and there wasn't a lot of that. And then I could hear my mother turning off the water in the shower, so I knew it was like, pencils down, run and hide. And I basically went on strike for 1 hour of television a week.
Oh, really?
How I got it, it's still a mystery. We don't really know. Maybe I was just so annoying that they gave me that 1 hour.
Yeah.
Or maybe I was just really cute. I don't know what it was. But I got my 1 hour. So aside from Star Trek being an amazing show, it was the only television show I could watch during the week, and I would count the days down till it was on. And then when we watched it, one of my greatest memories was after an episode, I would just sit there almost in like a trance, digesting everything I saw. just thinking about it. And Denise Okuda and I have spoken about this, that it was like, I realized after a while that the show is putting me into an alpha state or something, the same kind of state I would be in if I did sketching or writing, where you get into this creative mode.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the feeling I was getting. So I was a Star Trek fanatic. Then the making of Star Trek came out,
Mm-hmm.
which was an epiphany. And that's where I first got the idea that, people make this stuff. It's not just, they don't just wave a wand.
Mm-hmm.
And I was totally, as a matter of fact, I can still remember it so clear. My father saying to me, if you spent half as much time on your schoolwork as you do on this television show, you'd be all right. Yeah.
I played that clip for getting ready for this. I put that out there on the stream on all my posts. That one little, when you say that, that's just so funny. But then look what happened. You won some awards, some of those statues.
My father, who said if I spent half as much time on my schoolwork, ended up going to the Academy Awards with me. So
I know that when I heard that was so cool. I was like, oh, that's just so cool that he did that with you.
One of the things that I'm proud of is that I feel like I lent legitimacy to the idea of being a Star Trek geek.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always proud of that. And when I finally went to work on Next Generation,
mm-hmm.
Can you imagine? Here's my dream job. And not only did I get to work on my dream job, but I went there coming from what was the biggest show in town at the time, Dick Tracy, and being nominated for Academy Award. It was like instant cred on stage, which is amazing, mind-boggling.
So we'll go ahead and move into Star Trek now because we're going to get there regardless. So I heard that you, if I remember correctly, you were part of a letter writing campaign on the East Coast. I've heard, let me just say this. I've heard another name used for the East Coast Trekkie fans every now and then. I think it's called East Coast, like Trek Mafia or something like that.
Oh, that's a Larry Nemechek. He likes to call us the East Coast Mafia.
So Larry, if you're watching this, he will be watching it shortly. I'm using your term, but we were talking about that. How you worked on like the letters out there to bring it back, is what I understood.
Yeah, I mean, I was I wrote a lot of fan letters to the show while it was still on the air. They would always send me pictures and stuff like that, which was amazing. I would put $1 in an envelope and say, "Can I have a picture of the Enterprise?" And so I was on. There was a company a mail order company, Majel Barrett did. Roddenberry's wife, Majel Barrett Roddenberry.
Yep.
It was one day I come home from school and in the mail addressed to me is one single 8.5 by 11 sheet divided into 3 columns. There was column A, column B, column C. Each column, you got a different choice of things that you could get if you send $2 or something. And one column would have Starfleet insignias, a pack of film clips, which were real film clips. I mean, Majel used to go to editorial and the stuff that was the discards that ended up on the floor, would scoop them all up, bring them, to the mail order, wherever they had their mail order set up. And Bijo Trimble and her husband would sit there snipping film clips and putting them into brown, little envelopes. So all of a sudden, there was this amazing, you could get the original treatment to Star Trek, or you could get the writer's guide, and the thing, of course, I didn't know at the time was that when Majel was getting scripts printed, they were getting printed at Paramount, along with the other real scripts. The insignias were coming from the same company that made them for the show. If you got insignias from back then, you've got the real thing.
Really?
Yeah. So that was mind-blowing to be able to get that. And of course, you have to remember, it's not like today where you have instant gratification. You order it, have it to you in 3 hours if you want. Back then, you'd make out your order, write the envelope up, send it out, and it would take, a week and a half for them to get it. Then it would be another week for them to pack it. and then it would take another week to get to your house. So it could be like 3 or 4 weeks before you got anything.
Oh,
And I
gosh.
would run to the mail slot every day, waiting for something, and it was mind blowing to get that stuff. You felt connected to Star Trek,
Hmm.
and then it expanded into a catalog where every script. I think the Menagerie was the most expensive one. It's a 2-part. I think it was like $15, which might as well have been $150 to me at that age.
I've heard that.
Denise told me that she couldn't afford the scripts when she was a kid, and she had a friend who was getting them, and that she would borrow the script, and you couldn't really even copy things back then. She
True.
would get a friend's script, and she would retype the entire script to make a copy for herself. And that's how she learned how to typing up copies of Star Trek for herself.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was, getting that stuff was mind blowing. But then, of course, when Stephen E. Whitfield, Stephen Poe, did the making of Star Trek, I'm like, I'm 13 years old and I'm reading call sheets and production memos and budgets. And I mean, it really was an epiphany for me. And the thing that I discovered was, if I got a pack of film clips that were, the cut up from the show, here and there, you'd get a slide that had a guy with a clapboard. And you're like, what the hell is that? And then you'd see other things. You'd see part of a microphone boom or something like that. Or I discovered that just beyond the frame of the television was something even more exciting than the stories they were telling. The people behind the scenes who were designing costumes, making costumes, doing visual effects, that was mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
And did I ever think I would get to work on Star Trek? Well, absolutely not. I mean, it was canceled after 3 seasons.
Yeah.
But during the second season, when they tried to cancel it, I got a letter because I was on the mailing list that was handled by Bijo and her husband, John, sending out an alert saying they're going to try to cancel Star Trek. And here's what we can do about writing letters and who to write them to and to be polite and, the things that you should say. And so I took that to heart. I mean, I even posted stuff all over my neighborhood, Star Trek fans, come to arms, and I wrote all the newspapers. And one day when I was in school, I guess it was junior high school, I got called to the principal's office. I was in class and this, the loudspeaker comes on and there's a crackle. You send Douglas Drexler to the principal's office, which is when every kid starts laughing because they think you're in trouble.
Yep. I remember though. Well, I didn't get called, but I know what you're talking about.
I had been in trouble for drawing on my desk. But when I got down there, do you hear that?
Yes, I do hear that.
That's my bird. Will
Let's
you
bring the
talk
bird
while
out.
I go get the birds?
Yeah.
While he was down at the principal's office, they told him that he had been called by the news, the Daily News. I don't know if I have the story straight. And he picked up, they were very impressed, and he actually was interviewed in the principal's office. I'll let him tell the story. And
Did you
Wow.
know my story?
I told part of it.
Here's the boss.
Uh-oh, there's the real boss.
Here, go in there. Come on, you can't stay in my arms. Sorry. He's 43 years old.
What?
I've had him for 43 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So did he tell you I got called in the principal's office? And when I got there, they were all smiling. I'm like, what's going on here? And it turned out that Harvey Aronson, who was a columnist for New York Newsday, he got a letter from me and wanted to interview me about what we were doing.
Oh my
which
God.
was mind-blowing. And while I was talking to him on the phone, I could see the principal and the assistant principal in there, like, listening in on the conversation. About a week later, like a quarter-page article in New York Newsday that said, this group isn't way out, but its cause is. And it was about Doug Drexler leading a 20-man action group at Dawnwood Junior High School, out there holding back the Philistines and to save a great show. And the article was amazing. In the article, it says Douglas, who wants to be a doctor. Well, I never really want to be a doctor. Actually, I want to be a comic book artist, but I can't go on there trying to be serious
Yeah.
about Star Trek and saying I want to be a comic book artist because that diffuses, my credibility. So I knew if I said I was a doctor, it would go further.
Yeah, absolutely. No, wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh,
Damn,
but
it's a freaking awesome story.
I told you, right? I was a geeky kid.
Yeah.
The ball came towards me and I put my glove up. It would hit me in the forehead and bounce off. So I was, someone you mocked. And the day the article came out, every class I went to, the teacher took it out of his or her pocket, unfolded it, and read it aloud to the class. All of a sudden, I was like a celebrity.
Yeah.
And that was an epiphany too, because it made me realize that you could actually, make an impact on the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
So, I remember very well that when NBC decided to renew Star Trek for season 3, it was during Assignment Earth.
Yeah.
During the credits in Assignment Earth, a voice came on and said, "Star Trek fans," basically saying, "You can stop sending letters now.
I've heard that.
We'll be returning for more outer space adventure." Of course, season 3 was a mixed bag, and there are some really terrific episodes, but the tone is different, But there are some that I really love. There's some really wonderful season 3 shows.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite season, of course, is season 1.
Yeah.
I like the tougher Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
He became sort of friend to captain in the second season, which may have been because of a guy named Gene Kuhn, who is he did a lot of the rewriting on the show.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a story editor, and a producer and a writer.
Yeah.
And he's the guy who injected humor into Star Trek. Gene Kuhn wrote the pilot episode for McHale's Navy. He was known for military comedy.
Uh-huh. And then that's also, the lore and the history I've been told is that's also why he was eventually not asked to go, because Gene Roddenberry didn't really want humor or comedy in Star Trek.
I had also, read that he wasn't completely, he wasn't sure about having humor, but there was a lot of humor in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all terrific. I mean, Piece of the Action, which was directed by a stand-up comic who became a director, James Comack.
Okay.
Comack did The Courtship of Eddie's Father, and I think he may have been involved with Barney Miller.
Mm-hmm. How about that? I remember that one.
Yeah. So Comack, it was perfect casting for a director to do a Piece of the Action. I mean, it's really, Star Trek was able to weave humor in very successfully. And anyone who watched the show knew that William Shatner had great comic timing.
Oh, yeah.
And he and Leonard Nimoy together both were, very funny. I mean, have you ever watched Boston Legal?
I have not. I have heard it's good, though.
Well, first of all, the producer is a huge Star Trek fan. So there are Star Trek gags throughout Boston Legal. And Shatner is hilarious in it. He is so damn funny. So funny. So I got off the beaten path there. Sorry.
That's okay. Hey, this is your time. We talk about whatever we want. And actually, which now I do kind of want to lean into because, we're going to really dive into this, but, let's talk about the Kickstarter and your documentary is coming out. I'm going to bring, there's the director of the documentary.
Oh, you can come in too. It's all right.
Come in. Yeah, come in.
Yeah,
I've
we're
got you.
doing a Kickstarter campaign. Do you want to talk about it? I can talk about it. We can do our dance.
Well, I'll tell you that. Hang on.
All right. Well, I'll talk about it then while Doug is answering.
I was at a diner in Burbank, coming out, and this guy stops me. He knows who I am, and turns out he's a Star Trek fan. I'm a Star Trek fan, and you have an instant rapport.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize
it. Ricardo Delgado.
Ricardo, yeah. Ricardo was so impressed that someone recognized me. He says, "Wow."
Oh my gosh.
But I didn't know what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me, I don't know how much after that, maybe a month or so or something like that.
A couple of years.
Oh, was it a couple of years?
Like 8 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, that's impossible. I'm not even that old. So So we had lunch again. We got together for lunch, and he says, "I'd like to do it." Well, it turns out, he works on doing behind the scenes stuff for television shows like The Vampire Diaries and Arrowverse, which I really liked. I watched Arrow the first couple of years. And he says he wants to do a documentary, which I thought was, really? But it just so happened that I had been working on my memoir.
Okay.
And I was quite far along with it, which is going to be published by Jacobs and Brown. Jacob, the guys who published Mark Cushman's These Are the Voyages books.
Okay.
They do a lot of genre publishing, and that's why I wanted to go with them, because I knew it meant something to them. And I said, that I'll give it to you. That's a good roadmap, or at least to familiarize yourself with, where I've been. And so that's where we decided to go ahead with it.
And a year and a half later, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, say something.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm Jason. I'm with Drexler's. The day that I ran into him at Talleyrand was the day that my Enterprise J from Eagle Moss had showed up in my office, and I just
and Doug, you did the Enterprise J, right?
Enterprise J, yeah.
It is. Yeah.
I'm very proud of that. It shook up some people.
Yeah.
That's the most perfect thing I've ever seen. And I love that. When I worked on the J, now I'm getting off the beaten path here, but I'll just say that when I did the J, the difference between the original series Enterprise and the D was a quantum leap.
Oh, yeah.
What a starship was.
Yeah.
And ever since then, since Gene was gone, every new starship, and there's been a lot of them, is not a quantum leap.
Yeah.
I hate to put it this way, but kind of another chicken in the window, They didn't stretch to try to predict or conceptualize where we might be going, where we might go with the ship in another 100 years or something like that. And so when I did the J, was supposed to be a few hundred years in the future.
Yeah.
I knew that it had to be a quantum leap beyond what we had seen before, so that it was not like anything else. And it also had to have things about it that were impossible. Because when Star Trek first came out, well, about 10 years after, we had a store in Manhattan called the Federation Trading Post. It was a Star Trek store. No one had ever done anything like that before. And there were pictures of the Enterprise, and people would come in with their friend who was into the show and say, "Well, that's really stupid. That ship is stupid. I mean, those the pylons could never support the thrust or whatever that might come out of there, or it's really dumb." I mean, and I'm like, no, you can look at it as being dumb, or you could use your imagination and say they're so far ahead of us, they understand physics and materials. So what I wanted was, when I did the J, unless someone said that those nacelle struts are so spindly, you can knock those nacelles off like a soap bubble. Someone said that to me, and I was like, yes, that's what I wanted to hear. It's so your primitive ape's brain can't comprehend it. Who have I insulted?
Oh, who knows? But it kind of leads to some of the ships that we saw and later in like this Discovery, when they went to the 31st, 900 years, 1,000 years into the future. So but
9,000 years in the future, it's going to be a brain in a jar in a room.
They went 900 years. Yeah, so it's crazy. Well, I'm gonna bring up the Kickstarter website and let everybody see where you're at right now. It's actually doing pretty good.
We're doing good. I mean,
we've been having a great week on the Kickstarter. We're raising money to pay for a documentary on Doug's life, like we've been talking about. And the campaign has been so much fun, because it's, oh my gosh, we've cracked $135,000. We're so close to our goal, 867 backers. And that's all fans. And this fans, I'm one of them. I have been since I was a kid. And it is so fun to talk to people about this stuff that they love, because because I love it too. And so Doug talks a lot about a shared childhood that we all have. And even in different years, I can talk to someone that's 30 years younger than me, You know, and they are still they're into it. We connect in a level,
Yeah.
which is great, and we have a lot of interest. So it's been really fun connecting with people. But with the campaign, we've got some really, really fun backer rewards.
Yes.
Some stuff that is screen use props. We've got some certificates that Doug has made and signed. We gave away early on. The most popular one by far is Doug rescued from the set of Star Trek Next Generation the most incredible artifact. So outside the window at 10 forward was space, the final frontier.
Yep.
And that space was a curtain with little cutout mylar stars hot glued to it.
Yeah, let me find that while you're talking.
Yeah. And at the end, where did you find it?
Well, I mean, when the Enterprise D was done, they struck those sets. And those curtains that had been up there for like 7 years, they cut them down and they were going in the trash. So I grabbed a pair of scissors and I cut off about a yard or so of it. And they've been in my garage for the last 30 years.
I have that picture right there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that bridge, man.
I got that one in Vegas from Liz and Dave when they had it there. Cool. I was trying to find
I didn't see you there.
I got there. I didn't get there until Friday, so a really abbreviated, jam-packed trip. Yeah. It was.
Well, here, if you go down two rewards there, you went past it. We have. Oh, look at that! There's the hat you just went by, and then
right there's the hat
package. 2 underneath there is one of the packages. There you go.
That is
a package deal where you can get the movie on streaming, and then also the Starfield. So we're cutting it into 2-inch pieces, and you'll get a certificate signed by Doug, written out what it's about. And you can also get it as its own thing, and it's just $50. And here's why. It's really important to me as someone who loves all this stuff and collects all this stuff, but I'm not made of money. And when you see some of this stuff on auction, you see, it looks amazing. Did you see they sold the Genesis device at auction? And it went for tens of thousands of dollars from Wrath of Khan, which is the greatest movie ever made. And I'll never own the Genesis device. And so it was really important to me that we are able to engage. Like, you don't have to be super rich to be a part of this thing you love. Star Trek The Next Generation changed so many lives and was such an important part of so many lives. And $50 is an affordable thing versus, I mean, I bought pieces of Ewok fur. And
now I know you're crazy.
For $50 for like a half a centimeter thing.
Oh my gosh.
And so $50 for a big old piece, you can actually
the real Alpha Quadrant.
It's the real thing. And there might even be a star on it if you get lucky. And so that's a really special thing.
Wow.
It was really important to me. And so I'm glad we're able to do this. Now, the one you have here is one of the main backer rewards. There's also one you can get a package of the Blu-ray and this.
Let's see here.
And then there's a whole separate.
Up, right?
Yeah. Maybe it's lower. It's there.
There's the Blu-ray by itself, right there.
Yeah, is that right?
Oh, God. I'll make it bigger. I'll make that a little bit bigger. There we go.
So there's also a whole category of stuff, right? So this is the main backer rewards. When you pick any of these rewards, it's sort of like when you get to the grocery store counter and there's all and the batteries and the impulse buy. Well, we don't have impulse buys. We have warp speed buys because once you select any of these, there are 97 you can pick from, and some of them are scripts that were from the set that Doug saved all these years. Some of them are those awesome Eagle Moss models from Eagle Moss, which is now gone. There's art prints. We're going to have a whole ton of new stuff. We've been adding stuff constantly through the whole campaign. You're scrolling by Johnny's art prints.
Yes.
Johnny contributed a whole bundle of art prints that are autographed that we're going to be adding to it. So that's really exciting.
And that's not bad. $45 for...
No, we wanted it to be stuff that is affordable for regular folks to be part of it. And it's really paying off because so many, I mean, you saw 830 something people now are all able to.
Is that good?
It's a lot. Are all able to join
Yeah, and you only have 5. Oh, there it is, the very top. There's the package
Oh, it's
deal,
featured.
Blu-ray and
That's
Starfield
why we
package.
couldn't find it.
Oh,
Yeah,
how
Yeah.
come it's featured?
It's
so that people
featured.
can see it because it's a great deal.
Oh,
And I went right by it. But, you
So
know,
that's good. So yeah, once you click pledge on any of those, it'll take you to another menu where you can see all the stuff. And there's props.
and
There's
that,
pieces of
yes,
stuff. Go ahead.
I'm not going to pledge it, but I'm not going to log in.
You pledged.
No, I did not pledge.
Okay. Add-ons up there next to rewards and the kind of I'm pointing at the screen as if you could see where I'm pointing. Above where it says select your reward, it says rewards, add-ons, and payments. And if you go to the add-ons, if you move up or move your mouse arrow
Okay, there it is.
to the top of the page. But the add-ons, like I said, there's 97 things. Eagle Moss models. There's some cool toy kits. There's a lot of cool autographed stuff. We're putting some of these up. Why don't you hold up your Altair? This one is from a design Doug did. This was an Eagle Moss model of a design.
Let me solo him. There we go.
That was unused, but it was like this radical different design. And Eagle Moss actually made a model of this unused concept. And Doug has put out some really cool images of it. Instead of a saucer, it's a wing kind of shape. And so those that can be autographed, we have a whole ton of stuff, and it's super, super cool. And every day I'm learning something.
Yeah,
So,
I did the. I mean, I pledged. I'm doing the.
thanks, chum.
I didn't realize. I wasn't paying attention. You had the challenge coin, so I did the challenge coin and the streaming, the documentary. So
yeah, there's so much cool stuff. And like I said, we've been adding almost every day something new to keep it fresh and exciting.
Yeah.
Doug has dug out. Doug has dug out. Doug has dug out a whole bunch of his artwork from behind the scenes on all kinds of different stuff, from Star Trek and from other shows, even concept art for shows that never happened. One of my favorite art packs we have in the add-ons for a very low price. You can get a digital version for $5 or actual printouts or like nice prints for a little more. Autographed, of course, of Time Machine, which was a show that he worked on.
Yeah, Buckaroo Banzai.
Buckaroo Banzai, that's the one.
They were developing a TV show, and we worked with
Talk about that story's crazy because you're working at Star Trek and you're doing Buckaroo Banzai.
Well, the Rick, the producer.
Rick Berman.
No. The producer on Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh, my bad.
They were writing a script for a TV series, a pilot, with Earl McGrouch, who wrote the movie, and it's crazy. It's called Supersize Those Fries. It's about Dr. Lizardo is able to use potato fields around the world and link them together to generate huge amounts of power to steer the Earth off its orbit like a big spaceship and fly it in space. It's crazy. It was so funny.
Oh my gosh! I think I found what you were.
One of those missed opportunities that should have been a TV series, no doubt. I don't know if you ever saw it. I mean, incredible. Oh my! It's so bizarre. It's so crazy. I think it's the first place I saw Jeff Goldblum.
I found what I think I found you're talking about. All of the different rewards and everything else over here. The concept art.
There's some fun Star Trek art. One of them you just are near is the Next Generation storyboard package.
Oh, yeah.
There's 3 pages of Doug's original artwork we're going to reproduce as really nice, high quality prints. And they're so great that even like Riker has the sheen in his hair.
Ooh.
The one under it is really fun. It was a Halloween week promotion, but people asked us to bring it back. And so this is
really?
Yeah, they did. So we put it back. So it's an alternate ending that Doug drew for a fanzine back in the 70s or 80s. And it was...
Yeah, it was a Natholian web. It's Kirk in the Star Trek spacesuit, but he's been dead for like 100 years, and it's a skull, and it's...
Wow.
So we did it as a Halloween promotion. Yeah. We put that out, and it was really fun.
I was trying to be Bernie Wrightson.
They're doing pretty well. I think Bernie would like that. A lot of cool comics getting autographed. Vernon Smith, who does the Lower Decks comic, has come on board. He's going to do a poster for us.
Awesome.
It's
that'll be great.
He's doing right now. He's got a run on Lower Decks that he's making his way through on the Lower Decks comic book.
Yes,
and
he
his
is.
style so great. And he's also done Strange New Worlds comics in a completely different style because he's like a talented artistic chameleon.
Oh, he's an excellent artist. I've met him.
Oh, cool.
And I've interviewed him on here. I met him last year at the Creation convention in Dallas, and so and I saw him at obviously met him in Vegas again. So yeah, he got the Star Trek. Star Trek 500 was he got the cover of that. It's just he's a talented comic book artist
and a nice guy.
That too, very nice guy.
That 500 cover is one of them that's as a backer reward. You can get it not just signed by him, but remarked, where he'll draw a little picture on the cover, like one of the characters.
Oh,
and it's a really good price too. All our comic stuff is really good price because I'm a huge comic nerd, and having that guy on my pull list, I was like, boy, it'd be great if he could do. His covers are so crazy. He did the one for Lower Decks 10 with Tendi on the cover and the Ferengi all like jumping around, and she's like freaking out, and like that's the spirit of what we want in our poster. What I want is for Doug in the middle, like the calm in the storm, and then all of them swirling, all this action of everything's falling apart, and people are ripping their makeup off their face, and things are breaking.
I don't even care.
And he's just like here. And then,
oh my gosh,
Fonzie of Star Trek guy. So
well, I did just I put the link to the Kickstarter in the chat, and it's pinned at the top. So if anybody wants to go to it, they can click it and get to it.
Everybody, even if you could only put in $1, that would be
for $1, your name in the credits.
Oh yes, I was going to clarify that because that was a question I had. Yeah, so any level, as you tell me, Jason.
Anybody at any level, from $1 to $10,000, anybody, your name will be in the credits. Right now, it's a giant list of 800 something names. But for $1, just $1, showing that you can.
What a bargain!
You can have your name in the credits. We'll do that because once again, I want anybody. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have $10,000. If you have it, we'll gladly accept it. But we want you to be a part of it, and we want people to feel ownership of it. And so this has been a really exciting opportunity. So $1, but if you any pledge level at all, you can have your name in the credits of Trek Star.
That's right.
Vernon, he's in the live chat actually.
Is he here?
Yes, he is. I was just going through the screen.
We love this guy.
Oh, he's so great. He's so fun.
He's like, I got showed. And also another friend of ours of the channel, Ed Milner. Everybody, he does in fact, likes one of the parts in the X-1 is so enlightening and fun. And you know what? We're gonna go. I have a bunch of pictures that I'm gonna load. Let's just start, and let's start with my favorite ship, the NX-01.
All right. Yeah, we did that video. Jason did that video. He came over. We have the 6-foot NX that was done by a Russell Myers, who's a man, and he printed this ship out for me as a gift in his apartment in Manhattan. And it's really, look, I know every square inch of that ship, but except for say that model there, which is a terrific model. Seeing it in 3-dimensional space at a studio scale of 6 feet is mind-boggling. So we did that little video on me taking a tour of the ship, and I'm excited. That excitement that passion is all real. There's no phony baloney going on there. But to get Vernon, I'm driving home.
All the nice
on the road, Vernon. You drive on the road. We cannot afford to lose you.
No.
Yeah.
No. Pay attention.
So, getting to do an Enterprise is mind-boggling. Think about this. I had not long before that won an Academy Award, but if I had to choose between designing an Enterprise and the Academy, I don't know. That's a tough choice. I have to think about that.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
The way that happened was, I worked for Michael Kuda, DS9, and because I sketch and draw and stuff like that, once the production designer knows you can do other things, they have you do other things, even though you may just be a graphic artist. And it was getting towards the end of Deep Space Nine, and they were fully stocked with people at Voyager, so I wasn't sure where I was going to go after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was great friends with the visual effects guys like Gary Hutzel and Dan Curry. And the show had begun transitioning to CG.
Yeah.
And they used a program called Lightwave. And I used to spend a lot of time in Mike's office. We loved talking about Star Trek and space flight and stuff like that. And there was a box with Lightwave, the program.
Mm-hmm.
They used to come in boxes, believe it or not. And the box had all this great art of robots fighting and spaceships. And I'd be talking to Mike and looking at that box and turning it over. And, Mike and I could pretty much finish each other's sentences. And I was like, say, Mike, are you? And he goes, no, I don't, I'm, supervising 2 shows. I don't have the time to climb the curve. And he goes, would you? And I say, would you mind? He says, oh, go ahead, take it. So he gave me the program, put it on the computer in the art department, and started learning how to use it. And then one day I felt eyes on me from behind, and I turned around, and Gary Hutzel, visual effects supervisor, is standing there going, hmm. And a few days later, he comes back, and this is the way Gary talks. He says, do you think a guy like you can make a spaceship for a guy like me?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, yeah, Gary, but I'm still kind of a beginner. And those guys at Foundation Imaging, they're way, way, way beyond me. And I'll never forget what Gary said. And I don't mean to offend anybody, but Gary said, Doug, I would rather give someone a chance who I actually like working with. And he did not have a good relationship with them. And he felt that they did a beautiful job. I mean, the visual effects, the CG House Foundation Imaging was amazing. But sometimes you have personality issues anyway, Gary was in charge and he wasn't always getting what he wanted. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I ended up getting into CG. And I ended up working at Foundation Imaging for 2 years after Enterprise. And that's where I really learned a ton. And when they started up Enterprise, remember John Eves came and visited me at Foundation. He says, are you going to come back? And I'm like, well, John, I don't want to come back and do graphics because I'm on something new here. CG is very exciting. And so it didn't look like I was going to come back to Enterprise as much as I wanted to. Mm-hmm. So it went on without me in the very beginning. And John and Herman had been working out designs for the ship. Mm-hmm. And I think John must have done 30 shifts, and they were all good. But the problem is that when you're working with a producer or writers and stuff, they're not really visual people, and they don't know exactly what they want. And their attitude is, and this is a slippery slope for sure, I don't know what I want, but I'll know it when I see it. Mm-hmm. And that's terrifying when you hear that, because there's no end to that. And what happens is that they will have you doing designs until there's no time left because they want to see everything you could do before they make a decision. And what happened was that they ran out of time. Herman wanted to move on to doing drawings for sets, and he needed, John for that. And Mike Okuda said, well, Herman, why don't you bring Doug back? He could bring CG knowledge that he's, gleaned, and you could design it in the computer right here and actually render it out. And so I remember Herman called me basically and made me an offer. It was impossible to refuse. I mean, that was like, holy crap. I mean, I wanted to stick with the CG, and they found a way to bring me in where I could do that. And I remember I said to Herman, well, Foundation's been really good to me, and I can't just leave. I have to give them 2 weeks notice. And and Herman said, oh, that's okay, no problem. He says, what time do you get off? Oh my God. Herman, for a couple of weeks, every day after I'd have a full day at Foundation Imaging, I'd come home and Herman would be sitting on my porch waiting for me. And he'd come in the house and we'd work into the night for a couple of weeks. I mean, I was exhausted. But having been a makeup artist, you kind of get used to crazy hours because makeup is
Oh,
most insane.
my God.
So that's how that happened. And what's really interesting, though, is that like when Dave Blass brought us back to do Picard, which was a shock because the new Star Treks didn't want anything to do with most of us. Well, they don't believe they're not into continuity, and they know that when it comes to they don't want people to say you can't do that in the encyclopedia. It's which is a mistake.
Yeah.
Because one of the beautiful things about Star Trek is its continuity, and fans love to buy the books. They love to buy the encyclopedias. They love to get the blueprints and memorize it all.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and now
somewhere I have my book. I've got my tech manual.
Everything that I memorized doesn't count anymore. So
yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I've got Rick Sternbach and Mike Akut. I got the TNG technical manual right down here.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was great.
Well, some people consider the tech manual and the encyclopedia, who are writers, to be a problem because they see it as making it harder for them to do whatever they want if they have to obey everything that's done before.
So you basically in their opinion, you tied their hands.
Yes. Yeah, they saw it as having their hands tied.
Oh, well, too
They
bad.
didn't understand how important it was and how much the fans love that stuff. People who came in later and don't know anything about the early shows, that doesn't mean as much too. But a lot of your fans memorize the dates. They memorize,
Well, absolutely. And, and something to think about here, and I'm going to pull up another picture. But before I go to that picture, and we'll stick on Enterprise for one more minute here. Did you, and I don't remember, were you the one that built the NX-01 refit for Picard Season 3? Did you do the VX for that, or was someone, I'm just curious. I can't remember.
I had left visual effects after Gary Hutzel passed.
Okay.
Because Gary made visual effects fun. And you know what? If you don't have someone really fun to work with or work for, it's not fun.
Yeah.
So what I returned to art department.
Okay.
After Gary passed. So I did design the refit, I had, when I was doing the NX and building the approval model, I always had a model of the original series ship that I could put on top of it and look at it and say, okay, I want to make sure this looks like it's evolving into that. So my plan always was that it would eventually receive a secondary hull.
Correct.
But go out there for a couple of years and get their asses handed to them because the NX is underpowered compared to everybody else. And while they're out there, all that telemetry is going back to Starfleet, and they're designing a secondary hull for the ship. So that when Enterprise comes back and goes into dry dock, they take about a month and snap that thing on. And now you've got a ship that
a legitimate starship like we're used to seeing.
Yeah. And
that's
I love,
cool.
I think that when I did, and I had talked to Manny Cotto about it. He loved the idea. There was a very good chance that was going to happen, but then the show got canceled.
Yeah. That's a shame.
Fans loved the refit, and what they really loved was when they looked at it and they said, oh my God, they had a plan. They had a plan. Star Trek fans love it when you have a plan.
Yeah.
It's not haphazard. The idea was that it would evolve, and we'd never really seen that before. Yes, we saw superficial evolution of the motion picture from the original series to the motion picture, but we never saw a dramatic, evolution like this. And
True.
Of course, that's what would happen.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I remember sitting there when they went through the ship, the ship museum in Picard Season 3. Oh my God.
Well,
and we saw that sucker in there. I mean, I think everybody in the world gasped.
Yeah, everyone loved it. Well, the beauty of Picard, it actually started in Season 2, but Terry Matalas was not doing the story. They already had stories planned for Season 2 when they made Terry the new showrunner.
Yeah.
But Dave Blass, who was a production designer. Well, I met Dave on like Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
And I didn't know he worked in the business. I thought he was a Star Trek fan.
Mm-hmm.
And we hit it off and we had fun chatting with each other. And then one day he says, by the way, I'm the new production designer on Star Trek Picard. And I'm like, it was like my jaw.
Oh.
And he says, and I want to get the band back together.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't heard that for years. We were kind of sort of banned from the ranch.
Yeah.
John Eves was working on Discovery, but he told me, he says, I took everything out of my portfolio to Star Trek, because I knew that would be a negative. They wouldn't like that.
Man, that's a shame.
So,
well, that's a shame. Well, I do have here in the live chat real quick from Letterdex, which is actually a group of behind the scenes and extras that were on the show. And he have a question here. Would you guess that engineers stationed on the NX-01 on its first adventures would have been involved with the refit? That's from Duncan Fraser.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Oh, and we have, I'm just looking through the live chat real quick. Sorry. You have a pledge. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong one. Where'd it go? Right there. Ed Milner just pledged to the Kickstarter stream. Star Trek Plus some add-on.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Ed.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah.
We need everyone's help. There's
Yes.
some interesting stories to tell and some fun stuff.
Oh yeah, no, it is. So where I was leading with that, and I'm going to do this one, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but still, was you got the carpet back on the bridge, and I love that line from when John Luke, he's like, I missed the carpet.
Yeah, I missed the carpet. Well, Terry is really sharp, and he listens to the fans, and the fans were complaining, I think in season, somewhere along the line, they were complaining about no carpet and the shiny floors.
Yeah.
Which created a hubbub, which I thought was. They were saying, how you can't run on those slippery, shiny floors? They're too slippery, and distracting. And I thought that, I'm from New York City, Manhattan, and I'm used to shiny marble on floors, you can run on shiny floors. And why would you think that Starfleet engineers would put floors in a starship you couldn't run on? Really,
Really true.
So I have to say, I liked the shiny reflective floors.
Mm-hmm.
The reflections were gorgeous, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. That's okay.
Correct.
I get it. And you know what? Don't get me wrong. If I'm not mocking someone who think it's silly or that don't agree or they don't like it, because I happen to understand that there's no such thing as bad when it comes to that fan engagement. Whether they like it or not, they're engaged and they care about it, and that makes a difference. It's worse if they don't care, if they don't say anything. Now you're in trouble.
Correct. Well, I've interviewed Liz and Dave and talked to them both about this. Oh my God, to get to rebuild the Enterprise D bridge.
Oh my God.
That's to be gone.
I of course, Mike and Denise.
Yes.
We're consulting and myself as well. I lived on that bridge. I was a makeup artist. For 3 years on the show. I spent a lot of time on those sets, and it's absolutely perfect. Even the grain on the wooden rail is beautiful. It's amazing.
I know that it was a lot of work to rebuild it. I know that, but they did it and they made it. I know Mike was there and Denise and all of y'all just put y'all's head together to make that as beautiful as you can. And it's fine to think how much easier it was in some ways now, because you have LEDs and you didn't have to have CRTs.
Those screens in the back, they're not backlights.
Yeah.
And they're not polar motion, although I love polar motion. You know how there was that film that we put on the backlights with the polarized wheel behind it that turned, that would create the feeling of movement, like the warp core and stuff like that. I love Polar Motion, and that technology comes from, like beer signs, beer sign technology. You go into a bar and there would be a lit sign of a waterfall, and it looked like the water was falling.
Mm-hmm.
It would be used for stuff like that.
That's so
And
cool.
they couldn't have monitors yet on the ship. And Mike came up with this brilliant idea of using Polar Motion, which actually in a lot of ways was better than having monitors. On DS9 we used almost exclusively monitors, and now a lot of the time you could see that the shape of the thing was like a television. You know what I mean?
I mean, you could. Yeah, and it got worse, unfortunately, when they put everything in TNG and HD. Then you could really see different little aspects of it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I loved about Polar Motion is that if you go to engineering on the Enterprise D, you can have a flow chart that goes all the way down, the hall, because you got Polar Motion. There's no limitation to the shape and the length of it.
Oh, that's so cool.
I love Polar Motion, and there would be times on Deep Space Nine where I'd beg Mike, "Can I use Polar Motion here, please?" And Mike, it was like, Polar Motion is because I couldn't get TV monitors. I hate Polar Motion. I always loved it. I thought it didn't look like anything else.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to remember, and then I've got at least one more picture of my shape. I was trying to remember. I think it was on a Decon Chamber episode with Connor and Dom on their show, and I don't remember who they had on. They were talking about that. On Enterprise, you actually had, LCD TVs and monitors, and they were so expensive back then. But the thought that you actually had those on set and a computer, I was told you had a computer farm-ish type in the back that controlled all of the displays on Enterprise.
The control center was almost as impressive as the bridge itself.
Yeah.
And that was very advanced for the day. And I mean, it was even more amazing on Picard, where they were able to do great big. I mean, you saw what the stations look like.
Yeah,
and the station was animated, and they even went around curves and stuff. It was, and even like the helm, which especially on Picard is very thin.
Yeah,
you had monitors there that you could interact with, and also whenever I used to see. I would see through screens, and I would say, "Oh, for God's sake, who wants to see through screen? That's like really distracting." All I can tell you is that the first time I was on the Picard, and I saw the see through screens, it worked completely. Your brain forgets about everything behind. Yes, I love Mike's LCAR's designs. Mike LCAR is an active genius, and when you go to JPL. And everyone has LCARs in the background on their
yes, they do.
Because, Star Trek, I don't know about now, but, in the 90s and early 2000s, when you had like Michael Kuda, who was kind of a junior physicist and spaceflight expert.
Yeah, really.
Like pages and pages of tech notes. And people who work at JPL and NASA recognize the fact that it was being treated very seriously. And so we were like rock stars at JPL, and we went to Cape Kennedy and watched the shuttle go, and treated like family,
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Here's the second to last picture I want to ask. And if I did not ask you about this, I would get in a lot of trouble.
Uh-oh.
So the Voyager model.
Look at that young guy. I look at these old pictures. And I say, hey, I'm a lot better looking than I thought. But that was an amazing night because, I wasn't officially on Voyager, although I was peripherally involved.
Okay.
I did cross sections of the ship and helped Mike detail the Voyager and even threw in some designs for the Voyager. But they preferred to keep us as two different crews. And the model was built by Tony Meininger's Brazil Fabrications. And at the last minute, I guess Rick Berman decided he wanted to have something articulated on the ship, meaning the way the engines come up.
Yep.
And that was like at the last minute, and Meininger's guys had to break the model apart to put the motor in and rework it so that it could,
Oh, wow.
So now that meant that Mike was going to have to decal up and detail the ship like the night before they needed to start using it.
So this is the night before, like y'all are going to
The
start.
night before.
Oh my God.
Trying to remember her name now. I asked you her name before. Oh, yeah. So Mike says, Doug, I want you to come with me tonight. We're going to go in the cover of darkness, managers, and we're going to detail the Voyager. And we had made sheets of rub down decals and, all the stuff that the pennants and, that make a Starfleet ship. But the thing was that nobody can know. This is like a secret.
Yeah.
That you're coming. So we went, and of course it was super exciting to be detailing a Federation starship. And if I told you I was not humming the Enterprise leaves dry dock music on our way there, and while I was there, I'd be a big fat liar, because I absolutely was. And so Mike and I had an amazing time doing that. But there was a moment where, when we finished the top, the two of us had to pick the model up, turn it over, and put it down so we could do the bottom. And man, you don't know fear until you have to do it. Because number one, usually when you do a prop, you've got more than one in case something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Not a model like this. It's a very expensive model. And if we dropped it or cracked something, we'd be in some major shit. And especially since I wasn't supposed to be there,
Oh my God. Yeah. I wouldn't even want to. Oh my God. Yeah. No. I bet your blood pressure and heart were just like.
As we're finishing, the door opens up, and one of the producers on Voyager walks in. Wendy Noose comes in.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, petrified. I just freeze. I'm like, oh my God, busted. And Wendy comes in, and she's talking to Mike, and she's not even looking at me. She's just looking at Mike. And, she thanked Mike, and she said, everything's great. Everything looks good. And then as she was going to head to the door, she stops and she looks at me and she says, and thank you, whoever you are.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was an awesome, great story.
Wow.
And Mike turned to me after she left and said, it's okay. She's one of us.
Mm-hmm.
There were, you had people working on the show who Star Trek doesn't mean anything to. And then there was a small core group of people who it meant a lot to,
Oh, yeah. Wow. And I didn't know, and here's still, unfortunately, this will be have to be the last picture because I don't want to take up too much time. When I saw that, I was like, I had to bring this one up.
That's in my backyard, by the way.
Okay.
And she wasn't the only one. We had like 5 other Star Trek babes, including Barbara Luna, who's like one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And was my favorite Star Trek babe on the original series. And of course, Michelle is the ultimate Star Trek babe. And look how beautiful she is there. She's amazing. And what a wonderful, sweet person she was. And that was an incredible day. We also, you don't see in the picture, but we also had Mike Forrest there, and Malachi Throne was there. And it was such an amazing, unbelievable day, really.
No, it's just, I can't even imagine. I mean, just to be able to work with Michelle would be, would have been just a dream come true, honestly. And I just recently watched a documentary, the Women in Motion, that she made. Oh my God. That was an amazing documentary. I couldn't believe it.
She was a treasure.
Okay. Hold on here.
One thing about the original series that most people younger people have no idea about, and that the idea of a bridge with people of all races and creeds and even aliens, that's like now. But in 1966, the idea of, even just the idea of a woman on the bridge of a ship, not to mention a black woman, was so, they were worried about some parts of the country who might not watch it because of that in the Deep South, You had at the helm, a Japanese man
Mm-hmm.
as a helmsman, only 20 years after World War II.
Yeah.
Then you had a Scotsman. Then eventually you had a Russian who was like, that alone was,
Yeah.
So the bridge was a microcosm of the earth. And there were people who were part of that some people would take kindly to.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the kind of bravery that Gene Roddenberry had.
Oh yeah.
When he was doing Star Trek.
It's amazing. And I had, while we were chatting here, we had a picture from one of the letterdeckers of you guys.
Oh, it's a great shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cameoed in the finale.
Yeah, I've got that pic. I didn't load it up, but I do. You sent me that picture too.
Cameoed on Next Generation as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice long shot where the camera follows me across 10 forward.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh
wow,
yeah.
how exciting. How exciting.
Yeah.
I had my cameos here and there. I cameoed on BSG as well.
Yeah. I know. Oh my God. Well, Doug, when we were talking beforehand, you're right. We could talk for hours in weeks, and I would. And you know what? I think I will have you back on, especially
come back in a minute
after we get that Kickstarter past the finish line, which it's going to, because just like you said, just as we were watching it, Ed's now sponsored it. It's just it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It is going to happen. It is going to happen.
So,
the thing is, and Jason and I have talked about this. If it turns out to be a success, we'd like to do more.
Yeah.
Do one on the Yakutas, do one on Dane Curry.
That would be.
We've seen lots and lots of documentaries, but it mostly, and there's nothing wrong with this, but I'm saying they generally feature the actors, the writers, producers, and breeze over the people who are actually building that world.
Yeah.
And there's some amazing stories there, especially on Star Trek.
Yeah.
Because how rare is it that you have a group of people that is together for almost 2 decades? It becomes a big family, and you look out for each other.
Oh God, yes. Well, and oh God, I know we could talk, but I was going to say, the cast of Enterprise, they always and Connor and Dom have said this more than once, and some of the others, they always feel like they were the ones, and it's not true by any means, but they, that Enterprise, not them, but Enterprise killed the franchise.
Yeah.
And that is not the case. It's the fact that Enterprise was on a network and not syndicated.
Well, the thing was that UPN was not a success.
No.
It didn't air everywhere.
Nope.
And of course, the other thing was that Les Moonves and Rick Berman hated each other.
I don't think I knew that little
I
can't remember.
And the stories I was getting from friends in the office was that Rick's attitude was like, oh, I'm not calling him. And Les Moonves' attitude is, I'm not calling him. And then that got the show killed, basically,
Well,
actually, the show was just getting good. You have to remember that in almost all the shows, they don't take off till the 3rd season or so.
That's right.
And that's after doing, think about that. Now you're lucky if you get 10 shows.
Yep.
And it's going to be years before the next season. We were doing 26 shows a year for years.
Yep. Well, and y'all were all a family, and I have the picture, but it'd take me too long to find it. I've got that picture of the last day of when everybody was out in front of Paramount and the water fountain, but the big group after 20 something years of all that group being together, y'all got that last picture. And then, and I know they photoshopped and Letterdeck's getting but I know they photoshopped Scott in because he was not there. And oh gosh, who was the gentleman that had passed away? I should know.
Jerry from Wardrobe. He's in a window, I think.
He's in the window. They put him in the window. And so, it's been, gosh. Okay. Absolutely. After this Kickstarter is funded and everybody's gone, we will have you back on for a round 2 because this will be so much fun. All right. Again, Thank you for your time tonight, and I will talk to you again soon.
Come here and
Come on
say
in,
good night
Jason.
to everybody. Come on.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for backing Trekstar on Kickstarter. Just a few
Yes.
days left to get all that awesome
It's right
stuff.
here in my heart. Thank you.
5 more days. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everybody have a lovely night. Talk to you
You
later.
too.
Thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it. This
Yep.
was a lot
You're
of fun.
welcome.
Talk to you later.
Thank you for watching The Transporter Room. For just $5 per month, enjoy ad-free access to this episode and all previous ones, plus exclusive bonus content. Sign up now on Patreon.